Some quarterbacks got paid over the weekend. And the importance of that position with these contracts. So Jared Goff, Tua Tagovailoa, Trevor Lawrence, Jordan Love all get deals worth $50 million per season. Those are 4 of your top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, paycheck-wise. None of them compare with Patrick Mahomes. Remember when he signed that deal? And I said, the Chiefs got a bargain. They did. They did, because Patrick Mahomes is the reason why those quarterbacks I just mentioned won't win Super Bowls probably, because Patrick Mahomes is still playing. If a star quarterback is due for a new deal, you got to pony up or risk losing them. And this is going to come up with the 49ers soon with Brock Purdy. He's making around $1 million a year. Now, that's a star-studded roster, an expensive roster, but they can afford that roster because your quarterback's getting $1 million. But with the way the quarterback market has progressed, this is probably the last year the Niners are going to be able to have that luxury in their salary. Brock Purdy's probably going to make $60 million. There's 2 choices. You either pay him or you don't. It's not, hey, can you give us, team friendly? Hey, you were Mr. Irrelevant. I mean, come on. I look at Brock Purdy the way I do Tua Tagovailoa. You're in a system, with an offensive-minded head coach with a lot of weapons. You're asked to sort of be the conductor of an orchestra. That's it. You got a lot of talent in front of you. Just make sure that you take advantage of all those weapons, and we will program you. Because that's what Mike McDaniel has done with Tua Tagovailoa. I was talking to an NFL person, and they said, look, we don't prepare for Tua the way we prepare for Mike McDaniel's play calling, and we prepare for those 2 receivers. So that's somebody in the NFL saying, we know that we got to prepare for what Mike is going to script out. What is he going to run? When is he going to run it? Because we got to worry about Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Those are his words. I've said before with Tua, he had a really good year. Would I pay him this? No. I would have probably franchised him, franchise tag after this year. You play this year, franchise tag, and then I might even franchise tag him the year after that because it's going to be less money. I don't know if he can stay healthy his entire career because it's really rare when somebody does. But they had to make a decision. We got a team that can compete, and they can compete in that division. Now, a couple of things stand out. Tua doesn't do well in cold weather. He's 1-6 against teams that had winning records last year. He did put up really good numbers until he didn't in the playoffs. Do I want to pay him $50 million? I would rather let him play this out, see how he does. And look, it might cost me more, but I haven't seen enough where I go, okay, I'm going to sign him up. Let's take money out of the equation for the moment because the Packers have seen enough of Jordan Love to then sign him up for 5 more years. Jared Goff and the Lions, they've seen enough where they're signing him up. Justin Herbert with the Chargers. Like, you make that decision, you're making a decision for 4 or 5 years. There's people in Philadelphia who still aren't sure about Jalen Hurts, and he could have won the MVP in the Super Bowl. Am I so sure about Trevor Lawrence? What exactly do I have so far? Not a lot. Justin Herbert in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson in the play. Like, what am I paying you for? To play all the regular season games? Hopefully we get into the playoffs. Is that what it is? Because Green Bay's paying Jordan Love to win playoff games. And I think that probably solidified their feeling with Jordan Love. It would me, but I liked what I saw, even though he struggled when he started out last year. And then the second half of the season, he was the best quarterback in the NFL. And then you win the playoff game in Dallas. And you had your team on the verge of going to the Super Bowl. And he was the key ingredient there. Because I can look at Jalen Hurts and say, man, you got a lot of weapons here. Great offensive line, some receivers. You had a good defensive line at the time. So it's kind of tricky when you're giving credit. And am I giving too much credit to Jordan Love and not enough credit to Tua Tagovailoa? Well, Jordan Love doesn't have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Nobody has Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. What a luxury. But Brock Purdy still has the best running back in football, one of the top 5 tight ends in football, and I've got 2 other receivers that might be top 10 receivers. And then I got an offensive-minded head coach. I got a pretty good defense, at least some playmakers. How much do I give credit to Brock Purdy or not enough credit to Brock Purdy because of the surrounding cast? But when an NFL personnel person says to me, we gear up for Mike McDaniel, then you gear up for the 2 receivers. That should tell you everything there. And plus, you're going to start to lose players. The Dolphins have already lost some defensive players, and that would be tricky as well. I don't know how good the Jets are going to be. Buffalo should be good. New England's not going to be good, for a while. If you're the Dolphins, your window of opportunity is last year might have been your best year. Might have been the best year to go to the Super Bowl because you're going to start losing players. This is what happens. Seattle was able to have the Legion of Boom because Russell Wilson didn't make a lot of money. Even Dallas with Dak didn't make a lot of money. Get a rookie deal with Joe Burrow, what'd they do? They got some receivers, got a good running back, they improved their defense, they went to the Super Bowl. Now the tricky part happens. Same with the Chargers. They have nothing to show for Justin Herbert's rookie deal. Now you pay him that kind of money. Now we're going to find out. That usually if you're looking at success with a quarterback, it's those first, 4 years where your salary is not prohibitive. But you got everybody getting paid except for Dak Prescott. But it seems like CeeDee Lamb is going to get paid. I don't know if they pay Micah Parsons this year. And then you got Dak. But it's getting to the point where if I'm Dak, if you're not going to pay me $60 million, somebody else is. And it feels like that's where they're headed in Dallas. But it was a good weekend for quarterbacks. And I think sometimes when we attach the dollar sign to the quarterback, you're like, God, Tua is going to be, it's just the going rate. You can't, the only thing I would argue is I would have had him play out this year and then given a franchise tag. And then maybe another one. And then maybe, I'm paying him $110 million guaranteed instead of $170 million. And I have the option of, if he gets hurt, then I can go look for another quarterback. It's just like with the Giants with Danny Dimes. I'm like, what are you doing? Who are you bidding against? What are you doing? But there's going to be an out with Daniel Jones after this year. And it'll probably be his last year.